Hello friends and welcome. If you're new here, my name is Crystal and on this channel I talk about all things horror. I do reviews. Sometimes they have spoilers and sometimes they don't. I also do those like fancy top 5 videos and other random videos here and there. Also, I'm not an expert on any of these things that I talk about. I just like to watch horror movies and shows and talk about them with you guys. In today's video, I want to talk about the 2022 film Speak No Evil. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the film, the good and the bad. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna tell you whether or not I think you should watch it, so stick around until the end. So before we get into the juicy bits of this video, I have a little explaining to do. If you don't want to listen to that, that's totally fine. For your convenience, there are timestamps on the bottom, so feel free to skip around. Don't worry, I won't be offended. Okay, so where the hell have I been? As you can probably easily see, the last time I uploaded a video on this channel was like 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. Really depending on when you're watching this, which is not good. But thankfully, at least I hope so, you have been satiated by my little YouTube shorts that I try to upload every single day. I have to assume that the majority of my new subs on here are from those. So thank you if you're a new subscriber and you haven't skipped this part of the video. Okay, so if you've been watching me for a little while, you know that I used to have a big girl grown-up corporate job and then I left it. I left it to kind of do my own thing for a little while. And well, for the past 5 weeks, guys, I have acquired a fancy new job that's in my field and it's been a little intense. And along with that, I've also been following one of my favorite bands since I was 16, My Chemical Romance, up and down the East Coast. But now finally, here I am, and I'm so happy to be back. And I promise you that every single Wednesday around this time, you're gonna be getting a new YouTube video from me. So if you haven't yet subscribed and you like horror movies, please do so. Okay, so let's talk about Speak No Evil. Also, happy October. There will be spoilers in this video, so please proceed with caution. So in the film, we follow a Danish family who is visiting a Dutch family that they met when they were on holiday. What was supposed to be a nice weekend getaway slowly starts unraveling as the Danes try to stay polite in the face of unpleasantness. So the film was written and directed by Christian Toftrup, and it was also written by Mads Toftrup. And the film stars Martin Buren, Sidis Siemenkoch, and Feja van Hult. My apologies if I said any of that wrong. I did my best. So as I said, the film was released on Shudder, and it has a running time of 1 hour and 37 minutes. Okay, so if you do follow me on TikTok, you might remember me talking about this film a little bit, and when I talked about it, I instantly put it on my to-watch list. So this is a foreign film, but English is mostly spoken throughout the film, and when they speak in a different language, there are subtitles. Okay, so let's talk about the good. The acting in the film was really good. The characters were able to emote, and you really felt this tense uneasiness that would not stop building until the very last shot. Speaking of shots, there were a lot of good overhead shots. There were also these long shots of the land, and the music is really good too. The music kind of reminded me of that really haunting score that we heard in Hereditary, like the violins and the horns, and it overlaid so nicely on the shots throughout the film. There were also moments when the shots were dark, but not like that, like offensively dark where you can't see anything. There were also these moments when the antagonist, Patrick, is looking through this like frosted glass window into the bedroom of the other couple, Bjorn and Louise, which is the family that we follow throughout the entire film along with their daughter. And you can't fully see Patrick's face, but you know that he is staring at them. So I want to go back and talk about this uneasy tension that the director and the production team captured really well. From the first encounter with this other couple, they come off as almost too nice, too good, too put together. But of course, there are some cracks. As I mentioned, Patrick had this thing about him where he liked to stare at the family, and he did it from the beginning. So the father in the film, Bjorn, he was looking out their villa's window when they were on vacation, and he sees Patrick staring at him. Another thing I really liked about this film is that the actors were able to convey things without really saying them. And that's my love language when I watch a horror movie. I love when I can interpret things without the characters like flat out saying it. I could tell that the father Bjorn was a little bored, a little complacent, and maybe even a little resentful towards the life that he had built with his wife and their daughter. There were like these long shots of him sitting at his daughter's dance recital in the beginning of the film, and he just didn't look at all present. We do find this out later in the film, that he is in fact missing excitement in his life when he is on top of what looks like a sand dune with Patrick, and they're like screaming into the abyss together. And we also learn that the reasoning behind the fact that he wanted to go visit this couple, that his wife points out are strangers, is because he was yearning for something exciting and different. And listen, there is nothing wrong with wanting to change the mundane of everyday life, but considering this is a horror movie, this time there's something really bad about it. There is also a point in the film where we, along with the father, Bjorn, start to like connect all the dots. And I like the way that this was done. So he happened to wander in a different part of the house, and he found a room with all these suitcases, travel, essentials, and the piece de resistance is the attic room with all of the photos of the families that this couple had killed. And we don't really need any words for this. It was more so these camera movements, these quick back and forths between the before photos of the children and the after of the children. And it all made sense. And it also reminded me a little bit of Wrong Turn, where the friends group in the film find kind of the same thing. Another thing I want to note about this film is that it is a slow burn, and not a lot of horror fans like that. I totally get it. Me, I don't mind a slow burn, as long as there's a good payoff at the end. Speaking of the ending, it was hopeless, sad, and after watching it, you just feel extremely helpless. And also a little bit angry. But it was a realistic ending. There were no heroes, there were no redemption arcs, and it was just pure evil. And it was a true horror movie. Okay, so the reason that some might be angry when they finish this film brings me into the bad. There were so many times that this family could have left. So many times they had the opportunity to pack up all of their things, and at one point they do, but their daughter, Agnes, forgot her stuffed bunny. But then she realizes that she didn't. She actually just accidentally dropped it under the seat. If that was me, I would have said, no, we'll get you another rabbit. We are not going back to that home. So this was about 45 minutes into the film when they actually left, and then they came back. And the other family asked them why they left without telling them. So this is when I got annoyed. Instead of saying like, I'm so sorry, we have to leave, we have a family emergency or something like that, they decide to list all the things that this other family did wrong, which included feeding Louise, the wife, meat when she told them that she was a vegetarian. They also said having them pay for the bill at the restaurant that the family said that they were gonna pay for, and then they didn't. And then Patrick, the antagonist, lying about being a doctor, and of course the treatment of Patrick's son, and a laundry list of all these other things. Now listen, personally, I would have just lied and left. Well, personally, I wouldn't have even really gone in the first place. I don't really like to leave my house. But regardless, a white lie here would have sufficed. And I may have missed this, but I'm not 100% sure that they had like cell phone service, but they could have easily said that one of them didn't feel good and they had to leave. Something. Anything. The other point that I want to make is that Louise, the wife, was suspicious of the other family from the beginning and really didn't want to go at all and was very protective of her daughter Agnes. And her husband kind of pressured her into going when they had dinner with their friends. Oh, and during that dinner, their friends said, "What's the worst that could happen?" I had to chuckle at that because that's a no-no in horror, and is kind of along the same lines of "I'll be right back." In conclusion, as I said, the film does not have a happy ending. The daughter gets her tongue cut out, which is what the couple did to all of the children that they kidnapped, and then her parents get stoned to death. What this film does make you think is, what would I do in this kind of situation? Would I be polite, or would I tell them off and leave as soon as I could? And And this kind of ties into the title of the film as well, because it sort of has two meanings. The first is literal, because the children that they take physically cannot speak because the couple has cut out their tongue. And the parents, in every situation, are polite to say anything for fear of being rude. And it's almost a perfect setup in a really cryptic, really messed up way. So this couple befriends another family with a child on vacation, and they smooge this family, wines and dines them, and then a few months later, they invite them to their home for the weekend, and are pretty much the exact opposite of who they were on vacation. This couple has no boundaries, no remorse, no empathy. And it kind of makes me wonder, why? Why did this couple do these things? I wish that there was a little bit more backstory on them, but that's my own curiosity talking, I guess. I guess we could summarize that maybe they had a child who died when that child was young, or maybe they just weren't able to have any children of their own. Or maybe they were just psychopaths. I also wanted to give a warning that this film is not for the faint of heart, especially if you are a parent. As I mentioned, after I watched this film, I felt very hopeless and annoyed that the bad guys won. But as I said, this is a true horror film. So, should you watch this film? I mean, as long as you're okay with things happening to children and just not a very happy ending, absolutely. Just proceed with caution. I think overall it was a good movie. I think it was done really well, but it's a hard watch. All right, guys, I think that's gonna be it for me in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like these kinds of videos, I have an entire playlist dedicated to horror movie reviews and shows in the description box below. You can also follow me on all my social media if you want. And of course, if there's any movie that you guys want me to talk about, let me know, and I'll see you guys soon. I promise. All right, bye.